Here we go. Hello, everybody. So good to see all of you. Thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to today's episode of the Daily Antidote of Song. Brought to you by the fabulous Carpe Diem Arts. Here we are, daily antidoting again for day 1089, rapidly approaching the first day of our fourth year of singing together. Can we all just please stop and think about that for a minute? 4 years of being in this room. Not that we thought the pandemic was going to last about 2 months, and here we still are, floundering our way about, but not here in this room. We aren't floundering in here. I am so glad to see you all in here today. Please help me welcome everybody who's coming in on the live stream today. Hello, live stream. Thank you for joining us. We're so glad you're all here too. And let's say hi to all the folks in the room. So we're going to, of course, shout out Cohen, Braithwaite-Kilcoyne, who's in the room with us today as our featured artist. Today is the fabulous Archive Challenge Thursday, the last one that we're having in this month. But stay tuned because there are other months ahead in the universe. And we'll hopefully be back with you with another set of them. And of course, today we have our fabulous Stephen Winnick and Jennifer Cutting from the Library of Congress, American Folklife Center, and Figgy the Archive Cat, starring Figgy the Archive Cat. And Steve and Jen are regular hosts in this room. We love having Archive Challenge days with them, and we can't wait to turn the floor over to them. But let's do a quick hi to everybody else. Jaden Brick running the tech today from Maryland. Nice to have you here. Karen in Oregon, Bob in Albany, Jenny in Suffolk, UK, Hoda in British Columbia, Curly Top Willard in Vermont, Susan in Seattle, Kevin in DC with the Golden Flute, Dory and Ollie in Rhode Island, Cricket in Maryland, somebody connecting to audio, Bonnie in Boise, Idaho, Carolyn in Boise, Idaho, reminding us that it is day 1089. Thank you, Carolyn. Kathleen in Albuquerque, Luda in Victoria, Susan in Ohio, Deborah in Kentucky, Dan in Vienna, Virginia. Hello, Lily. Nice to see you today. And Lily looks a lot like Hindi. Hi to Dr. Jim Thorne. Nice to have you with us today. Dr. Jim actually did an archive challenge with the Library of Congress too, and we hope to feature him in a future month. Kathy, thank you so much for being here from Colorado, Storm in Massachusetts. Harriet in Chicago, lovely to see your face today. Amanda and Miles jumping in from Michigan. Nice to see both of you. Hello to Jody. Nice to have you with us. Julie in Ontario. Nice to have you. Fred in Silver Spring. Linda in Orcas Island. Leah in Illinois. Hi, Terry, coming in from, oh darn, I forget, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Maryland, somewhere, I think. Annette in California. Trish in Victoria. And folks off camera today, we have Aloysius in Mass, Janet and Carol in Connecticut. Elise Witt, one of our regular hosts and song leaders in the room today. Isabel in Florida, Loriana, Kachina, and Courtney in Vermont. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Nancy in Washington State. Bob in Mass. Gary in Mass. Penny and Ralph in Victoria. Alex Cumming in the room. Alex Cumming is the one who actually introduced us to Cohen. So thank you, Alex. A huge shout out for that. And Alex was the first Archive Challenge artist this month in March. So hello, Alex. We're so glad you're back there. Mabel in Massachusetts with some bears. Suzanne and Linda. And I think I did not get everybody. Sandy in Western North Carolina. And anybody who joined that I missed, Marty in Gloucester. I don't even know how to say that. Gloucester? Gloucester. Thank you. Okay, that's me. If it's written like something, that's how I pronounce it. All right, so super glad to have some new folks in the room and lots of old folks in the room and young folks in the room. And I'm going to turn it over to Steve Winnick and Jennifer Cutting, American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress. Please tell everybody everything you want to tell us.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
I am Jennifer Cutting, and this is my colleague here, Stephen Winnick. And just for the benefit of folks who might be joining us for the first time today, I will tell you that we are folklife specialists for the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. I was trained as an ethnomusicologist, and Steve was trained as a folklorist. And we have the great good fortune to work in the part of the Library of Congress called the American Folklife Center. And we want to welcome you to the 5th of 5 Archive Challenge Thursdays on the Daily Antidote of Song, when the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress has partnered with Carpe Diem Arts to bring you a brand new archival gem every Thursday in March.
And I'll just give you a little background about the library. So the Library of Congress was established in 1800, which makes it the oldest federal cultural institution for the United States. It's also the largest library in the world, which is kind of cool. But there's a couple of other dates that are significant too. In 1928, we founded an archive which was called the Archive of American Folk Song at the time. And we brought in a guy named Robert Winslow Gordon who had massive cylinder collections of traditional singing from primarily African American and Anglo American singers in Georgia and on the West Coast where he'd lived before that. So he brought a bunch of sea shanties, a bunch of spirituals, and all that great stuff. And then he continued to collect for a few years, and eventually he was replaced by other folklorists who worked for the library. Then in 1976, we founded what's called the American Folklife Center. That's the office where Jennifer and I work, and that incorporated that archive, which had been there since 1928. And so we now have all other kinds of programming. We have a concert series, et cetera, et cetera. So we are here to host this archive challenge on behalf of the American Folklife Center and the Library of Congress. We're about 1% of the Library of Congress by staff, but we have a lot of great traditional folk music materials.
And we collect a lot more than books, but today's fun fact is about our books at the Library of Congress. We have some really huge books and some really tiny itsy bitsy books. And I just wanted to tell you for today's fun fact that the biggest book in the Library of Congress is a 5 by 7 foot book featuring color images of Bhutan. I think the book is larger than the country. Anyway, the book is taller than Steve here. So the smallest book in the Library of Congress is Old King Cole, and it is 1/25 of an inch by 1/25 of an inch. So about the size of a period at the end of a sentence. That's today's fun fact.
So that is a very, very small book if you think about it.
Yes, it is.
I wonder how you even go about trying to read it. Anyway, in addition to maintaining our archive, as I mentioned, we have about 7 million items in the American Folklife Center archive, and we provide reference services as well to anyone who has questions about folklore materials. But we also produce concerts and lectures, symposia, blogs, and podcasts, which is largely my job. And one of the fun things we do is this, the Archive Challenge, where we encourage musicians to learn a piece from the archive and to perform it in some setting. And we've done it in a number of settings. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But we wanted to get everyone singing as soon as possible. So Jennifer is going to introduce Cohen.
Yes, let's get some music happening. Today's performer is especially exciting for me, not only because I spent my time in graduate school in England studying English folk music, but because I am a diatonic button accordion player, or melodeon as they call it in the UK. And today's artist, Cohen Braithwaite-Kilcoyne, is both a melodeon player and a singer of English folk song. He's a real leader among his generation of English folk musicians as both a fabulous singer and a great player of both the Anglo concertina and the melodeon. He performs solo and with a trio called Granny's Attic. He's released 2 critically acclaimed solo albums. He's published a couple of books of English folk songs, and he's taught hundreds and hundreds of students all over the world, from school children to retirees. So I'm going to hand it over now to Cohen Braithwaite-Kilcoyne.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me again. It's lovely to be back. Shall I start by singing you the song that I've selected for today? Lovely stuff. So, this is a great one that you can sing along with at home. The chorus, which comes after every single verse, is Stormy weather, boys, when the wind blows our barge will go. We were lying in the Surrey Dock one day when the mate said it was time to get underway. Stormy weather, boys, when the wind blows our barge will go. He's homeward bound but he's out of luck, for the skipper's half drunk in the dog and duck. Stormy gonna give up barging and take on a farm. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. Well, she fills away and she sails like heck, but there ain't no bargeman up on the deck. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. Then up jumps a mermaid covered in slime. We took her down the forecastle and we had a good time. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. On top of the tide, then the barge did fleet. When the mate sees a ghost in the mainmast sheet. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. So away we go, and the ghost did stay. The cook drank the dregs of the old man's bed. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. We reached our port all safe and sound, and we tied her up in Yarmouth town. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. So after all our fears and alarms, we all ended up in the Druid's arms. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Cohen. That was a fabulous, fabulous version of Stormy Weather Boys. I mean, let's say it. You've taken the melodeon part to new heights there.
Oh, you're very kind.
Are you sure you're not a bargeman?
No, I'm one of those people that gets seasick anytime it starts raining, so that's very much not in me.
Well, I mentioned the fact that he was a bargeman. Let's give you a little background on the singer and the collection that this recording that you got it from. The source singer for this song, Bob Roberts, was very important because he was the very last captain of a British commercial vessel operating under sail. Let's bring up a picture of him. The source singer for this song, Bob Roberts. We're going to bring up a picture of him. And we'll just tell you that he was born in the county of Dorset. He didn't live there for very long, but he was born in the county of Dorset in 1907 to a really musical father whose church music and playing for village dances actually attracted a visit from the great composer and folk song collector Ralph Vaughan Williams. So when he left school, Roberts worked for a couple of different papers as a journalist, but he was always restless. He finally left the newspaper to work on a Thames sailing barge, which is a kind of a flat-bottomed commercial sailing boat. And the rest is history. He worked on 8 different barges over the next 35 years, 3 years as a mate and 5 years as a skipper. And he was also a great singer and raconteur. So working as a bargeman allowed him to collect songs for his own repertoire from other bargemen along the East Anglian coast and other people that he met. So the pay for bargemen was very low, and he had a wife and 2 daughters to support. So he supplemented that income by writing books and articles about his life on the water. And he had long hours waiting for the wind and the tide, and he whiled away those hours typing out manuscripts on his battered old Corona portable typewriter.
All right, so in the 1950s, there was a folklorist named Peter Kennedy, very important in English folk music, and he was making field recordings for the English Folk Dance and Song Society and for the BBC. And this led to Roberts actually meeting the American folklorist Alan Lomax. Peter Kennedy did the introduction there. And Alan was in Britain at that time because of the blacklist. He actually moved to Britain for the entire 1950s, and he did field work not only in Britain but in other parts of Europe as well, with a home base in London. So that was sort of the backstory there, and he was making a lot of recordings for different projects, including a Columbia Records project that was called the World Library of Folk and Primitive Music at the time. That's what they called it. And there was an England volume of that, so he did collection around England. And mostly from Bob Roberts, he actually collected a lot of stories as well as songs, and didn't actually put Bob Roberts on that Columbia project, but he maintained those collections. And he recorded a lot of stories, for example, about smuggling, which was important in that Thames barge industry. And so Lomax made these recordings, and Bob Roberts continued to have a side career as a folk artist after that, appearing in folk clubs and at folk festivals as a singer and storyteller. In 1970, he finally sold his barge and he moved to the Isle of Wight, and he just continued to make albums and appear at folk clubs and at the local pub singing. And so you can still actually get copies of 4 of Bob's books and several of his albums. They're still in print, and of course you can find other ones that aren't in print in the used shops if you want to look for Bob Roberts material. He was an extraordinary character in many ways.
We've got some photos of some of his books and albums that we're going to show you. Last of the Sailormen, Breeze for a Bargeman, Now, Bob was a person after my own heart because he always boarded his barge with 2 very important things, a cat and a melodeon. Now, what else do you need? So let's hear the field recording that inspired Cohen's performance today. Alan made these recordings, Alan Lomax that is, made these recordings in a local pub in Pin Mill, Suffolk, which was called the Butt and Oyster Public House. So you can hear the people in the pub sort of eating and drinking and singing along on the choruses. So here is the field recording of bargeman Bob Roberts singing and playing melodeon on Stormy Weather, Boys. Are you all hearing anything? Joe, we're not hearing the field recording.
Okay, chat for a minute. I'm going to try and fix it.
Okay.
Oh, we were hearing it through your mic. Hi, everyone. So I think performing there in the Butt and Oyster, I think that Bob Roberts should have had another big hit. I like big oysters and I cannot lie. That would have been my response to such a pub. Though of course, butt does not mean that in this context, but that's a whole other question. So.
Okay.
All right, I think we're getting close. Here we go.
Here we go.
We were laying in the Surrey Dock one day. The mate knew that it was time to get underway. Stormy weather, boy, stormy weather, boy. When the wind blows, our barge will go. He's homeward bound, but he's out of luck, 'cause the skipper's half drunk in the Dog and Duck. Stormy weather, boy, stormy weather, boy. When the wind blows, our barge will go. Then the skipper came aboard with a girl on his arm. He's going to give a barge in and take a farm. Stormy weather boy, when the wind blows our barge will go. The cook ran forward and the mate fell in the dock, and the skipper caught his fingers in the main sheet block. Stormy weather boy, when the wind blows our barge will go.
All right.
Thanks, Joe.
Did you guys hear it?
Yep.
Yeah, we heard it. We heard it, and we want to ask. We want to ask Cohen. Oops.
Also, I'll let everyone know that the archive cat was singing along here, which was nice. He does that sometimes.
So now that you've heard the field recording, and you know that's where Cohen learned it, we want to ask Cohen what drew him to this particular song. I mean, this song has it all. It's got two different mermaids, it's got a ghost, but what was it that appealed to you, Cohen?
Good question. It's a song that I've actually been familiar with for quite a while. You may be familiar with the great English folk singer, sadly no longer with us, Tony Rose.
Oh, I love Tony Rose.
Who did a lovely version of this song, actually in a live recording. It's not on any of his sort of official albums. So I knew Tony Rose's sort of arrangement and version of this, and I've always liked it. I've always liked, as you say, some of the quirky imagery in it, you know, the mermaid and the ghost driving the ship and those sorts of wacky things. And also the lovely chorus that it's got as well. So I've always liked it as a song. I've never really done it, but I've always liked it as a song. But this, I'd never been aware of the source recording of it before. I didn't know. I was aware of Bob Roberts, but I didn't know his recording of it. So it was really nice to sort of go back to the original source, if you like, and sort of take it from there.
Cool. Well, that's what the Archive Challenge is all about. It's brought you together with the field recording. And I learned something new. I didn't know Tony Rose had sung that song, and Tony Rose was one of my very favorite performers of all. Well, you all can hear this field recording as many times as you like so that you can catch all the nuances. Let's pop the link for the field recording into the chat here. It's, of course, at our partner organization, Association for Cultural Equity.
That was Alan Lomax's foundation, which he founded before he died, and they partner with us by putting most of Alan Lomax's recordings from after he left the Library of Congress online. Just to explain, Alan Lomax only worked for the Library of Congress for about 5 years. 10 years if you would count the time he was his dad's assistant. And then he left and spent an entire career collecting, and the Library of Congress purchased that collection, the rest of Alan Lomax's collections, in the 2000s. So we now have everything that Alan Lomax collected, but some of it was originally at the Library of Congress and some of it came later. And all that material that came later, his foundation administers the rights for it and puts it online at a website called the Association for Cultural Equity, which is culturalequity.org. So you can go there and find all of Alan Lomax's collections, but the specific link right there in the chat will take you to this very song. We also want to just say a couple of things about Bob Roberts. I think he was very interesting because he kind of confounds a lot of the stereotypes about traditional singers, right? He started life as a musician. He attended grammar school on a choral scholarship, and then he became a writer. So before he was even a bargeman, his main profession was writing. So he doesn't fit that stereotype of the person who's musically illiterate and verbally illiterate and all those things that are often associated with traditional singers, but often aren't true of them. In the case of Bob Roberts, completely untrue. It's great to have him as a counterexample to all kinds of stereotypes about traditional folk singers.
And speaking of writing, Steve and I co-wrote a blog post about how you can take part in the Archive Challenge yourselves. We do Archive Challenges in lots of different venues, conferences, festivals, and even our own homegrown concert series. But when the pandemic hit, we decided we had to come up with a way that our audiences could participate in the Archive Challenge right from home without ever leaving home. And so we put the instructions for how to do that into a blog. So Jaden's going to pop the link into the chat for the directions for how to take the Archive Challenge while at home.
Yep, that's up there in the chat as well. So now that we know a little bit about the history of that recording, we're going to turn you back over to someone who also confounds some of the stereotypes of English folk singing. Cohen, would you be willing to reprise at least a bit of this song for us, or play the song again if you'd be willing?
Sure thing.
All right.
I'll do the whole thing so we get plenty of chance for the chorus as well.
Yay!
Sounds great. Thank you.
We were lying in the Surrey Dock one day when the mate said it was time to get underway. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. He's homeward bound, but he's out of luck, 'cause the skipper's half drunk in the dog and duck. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. Then the skipper comes aboard with a girl on his arms. He's gonna give up barging and take on a farm. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. So she flies away and she sails like heck, but there ain't no bargemen up on the deck. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. Then up jumps a mermaid, a covered in slime. We took her down the forecastle and we had a good time. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. Then on top of the barge did fleet when the mate sees a ghost in the mainmast sheet. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. So away we go, and the ghost did stare, and the cook drank the dregs of the old man's beer. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. We reached our portal safe and sound, and we tied her up in Yarmouth town. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. So after all our fears and alarms, we all ended up in the Druids' arms. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. Stormy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, our barge will go. Thank you very much.
Whoa, thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
Cohen. That was
much.
great.
Awesome.
That second time was even better than the first. That was awesome.
So once again, we want to thank Cohen Braithwaite-Kilcoyne, coming to us from where, Cohen?
Flint in North Wales.
Flint
Excellent.
in North Wales. So
Wow.
thank you so much for delving into our collections like this and finding this fun gem to sing with us today. We also want to thank our host, Joe Rossi, of course, Jaden Brick on tech, Carpe Diem Arts, the sponsoring organization for keeping this wonderful daily sing-along alive. And we know you have lots of choices how to spend your time, and we thank you for choosing to be with us today.
Yeah, thank you all for coming. It's always wonderful to see our old friends here in the Daily Antidote of Song singing room, and it's just amazing to be able to introduce wonderful performers like Cohen Braithwaite-Kilcoyne. Thank you so much, Cohen, for being here with us, and thanks to everyone that Jennifer just thanked as well. We are just delighted to be here with you all. And I guess
Thank
that concludes our March run of Thursday daily Antidote of Song archive challenges, but we will be back at some undetermined time in the future. We'll be talking with Joe about that, and we'll let you all know.
Woo! Thank you so much, Steve and Jen. What a great run today and what a great run all month. Thank you so much, Cohen, for a magical song and singing. I'm so glad you sang it all the way through. The next time, I do have to say the tech snafus are all on me. And I put in the chat that I was having some kind of button pushing meltdown. And somebody wrote in the chat, which is kind of funny, right? Since he's playing a button accordion. So I thought this was really good.
That's right.
Thank you so much, everybody, for your
You
patience.
had one button, Joe.
Oh, we're
Actually, there's actually a lot of buttons on this here computer. I don't know. Thank you, everybody, so much for your patience and also for all the love that you bring to this space every day. And I'm going to shout out again Alex Cumming, who introduced us to Cohen and who is also heading up our soon to be released incredible compilation album, Daily Antidote of Song compilation album, which you'll hear more about on our first day of year 4 here in the Daily Antidote of Song. And we're here because of all of you. It's your support, it's your love, it's your dedication, it's your presence, it's your singing along. And then, of course, we're here because of our magical song leaders like Cohen, who we're going to give it up for one more time. And of course, we're here because of our magical partners like Jennifer Cutting and Steve Winnick from the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress. Couldn't do any of this without all of you. So thank you so much, everybody. Let's wave goodbye to all the good folks on the live stream. Thanks again for coming in with us today. Enjoy the rest of your day. And of course, a goodbye to everybody in this space. Jennifer Cutting, Steve Winnick, Library of Congress, American Folklife Center. Thanks so much for being with us today. Cohen, Braithwaite-Kilcoyne, thank you so much for being with us today. Can't wait to sing with you again. You're absolutely magical. Thank you so much to Jaden for running the parts of the tech that actually worked today. Thank you so much for Karen in Oregon for being here today. Bob in Albany, thank you. Curly Tops, that's Willard in Vermont. Nice to see you. Maybe Alice May next to, or Leanna. Hey, Alice May, good to see you. And Susan in Seattle and Kevin in DC and Dory and Ollie, thank you for being here today. And Cricket in Maryland, beautiful dancing to Cohen's music. Bonnie in Idaho, thank you. Carolyn in Boise, also Idaho, thank you. Kathleen in Albuquerque, thank you. Luda in Victoria, Susan in Ohio, Deborah in Kentucky, Dan in Virginia, Storm in Mass, Annette in California, Trish in Victoria, Dr. Jim Thorne, I think that's Virginia. Thank you, Sarah, who is actually our song leader in 2 days. So please come back again to hear Sarah. Linda in Orcas Island, thank you. Anne in Silver Spring. Jenny in Suffolk, UK. Kathy in Colorado. Thank you, Kathy. And Rosalie in Michigan. Amanda and Miles. I saw Miles accordioning along. That was very cute. Amanda and Miles in Michigan. Diane in Puerto Rico. Hoda in British Columbia. Jamie in Victoria. Gary in Mass. Leah in Illinois. Aloysius in Mass. Jane in Texas. Glad you jumped in. Bob in Massachusetts. Marty coming in from, oh, you said it all before. Now I'm going to mess it up again. Gloucester. Did I get that right? Gloucester, UK? No. Who wants to help me out? Steve and Jen?
Gloucester.
What is it?
Gloucester.
Gloucester. Thank you for coming in from Gloucester, and I need to work on my English pronunciation. And Alex Cumming, another person whose English accent is actually much better than mine. Mabel and the Bears from Massachusetts, thank you. Fred, Jody from wherever you're from. Actually, a quick invite to anybody who's new today to stay after we say the goodbyes, and we'll unmute you and get to find out how you learned about us and get a chance to say hi one-on-one. Thank you, Harriet, for being here from Chicago, Carolyn, Connecticut, Nancy's Irish Cow in Washington State, Penny and Ralph in Victoria. Hello, Mommy. Mommy in New Jersey, Lynn in Connecticut, and Amos in Massachusetts. Thanks, everybody, so much. Again, an invite to the new folks to stay, and can't wait to see you all tomorrow.